Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're prepared to exercise your minds with this week's episode of Strata-Gym. I'm your host, Andrew Freeman. I've got some strategy experts with me breaking down your favorite 40k and Age of Sigmar armies so you can go out and destroy and conquer friends or foes. On a legal note, none of these things said in this show represent Games Workshop or any of its affiliated companies. This show is in no way affiliated or owned by Games Workshop. This show is created by two guys in a small broom closet that enjoy nerding out to OP formations that put so much cheese on the board it makes grown men cry. Let's get into it. Today I have with me BJ. He is a chaos expert for Age of Sigmar. Today he's going to get into how to dismantle and destroy our pesky little army called the Stormcast Eternals. Welcome, BJ.
Hello.
Tell the listeners how you got into the hobby and why you picked chaos as your army.
Yeah, so I got into the hobby last February. Mutual, with a friend of mine who's been playing Warhammer for 20 years. Got a mutual friend of ours into it who got me into it. So that's how I got into the hobby. As far as choosing chaos, I thought the Bloodthirsters and Scarbrand in particular looked pretty darn cool. I knew nothing about the game. I went with Khorne simply because I thought they looked pretty cool.
And that they do. I'm also a Chaos player, so I feel your affinity for Chaos, but I'm more of a Slaves to Darkness guy.
I got those.
What's some of your hobby goals that you're working on right now?
So right now I have about 20,000 points of Chaos.
Oh my god.
And I have about maybe 12,000 of that built, so I have a lot of building to do, and I'm also really getting to the painting aspect of the hobby.
Nice. What are you painting?
So right now I'm painting the Chaos Knights, Slave to Darkness. I have 5 painted, I have 15 to go.
Very nice, and that can take a while because there's a lot of trim.
Yes.
A lot of metallics on that.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the core reps of the show where we really start working out the core. The Emperor protects! Alright, now today we're going over how to dismantle and destroy Stormcast Eternals, and I believe we talked about this earlier. This is a whole reason I even came up with the premise of the show is because we were having a conversation about how to beat a Star Drake, pretty much. What core build for your Chaos, Age of Sigmar Chaos army, what core build would you use best to defeat the Stormcast Eternals?
Sure. So there's 2 battalions in particular I like, but one is probably more core than the other. So the core build to any of my Khorne builds is the Gore Pilgrims Battalion found in the Blades of Khorne book.
Which has really helped out all Chaos players. That book has been a godsend.
This book is awesome. Just the blood type alone is awesome.
Yes. Now, your first 1,000 points, what do you really focus on with this first formation?
So, it's hard for me to speak to 1,000 points because we typically play 2,000.
Yeah.
When we play. But I start every list with the Gore Pilgrim Battalion, which includes one Blood Secretor, 2 to 3 Slaughter Priests, 1 to 2 units of Blood Warriors, and 1 to 2 units of Blood Reavers.
Wow.
Though I recommend maxing out your Slaughter Priests to 3 if you have them.
Why are you maxing out your Slaughter Priests?
Well, what this battalion does is it empowers your Slaughter Priests somewhat. So, first of all, they can re-roll failed prayers and blessings.
Awesome.
So that increases the probability of success there. But then also think about if you have 3 Slaughter Priests doing the potential of D6 mortal wounds every round, that's a potential of 18 mortal wounds to 1 unit.
That is a ton of mortal wounds. And as we know, Stormcast Eternals don't do well with mortal wounds.
They don't do well with mortal wounds, and with all their awesome save rolls and ability to re-roll 1s on their save rolls, unless you have high rend or mortal wounds, they're almost impossible to defeat.
Yes, as I've been punched in the face multiple times by Stormcast Eternals.
Right, so if you can keep your Slaughter Priest within range of the enemy, but also close enough to your Blood Secretor, they also enhance the range of your Blood Secretor. So at some point, if you keep all 3 Slaughter Priests within 8 inches of your Blood Secretor when he opens the Portal of Skulls, you're extending your totem range by 6 inches for every Slaughter Priest. So that's 18 additional inches of range with his 3 slaughter priests.
So you have a 36-inch bubble.
36-inch bubble, and then I try to get him in the Bastion or on the Chaos War Shrine, which then doubles that.
Wow.
So you can theoretically have the entire table covered.
So that's 72
Yes.
inches?
And I've done that one time. I've
and
pulled
you
that off.
might have to just move him once instead of keep on slowly following, and then every other
Correct.
turn you get the totem.
I had him in the Bastion, so not only did it extend his range to 72 inches at that point, but his save also was 2
Wow.
because of the cover.
That's awesome. Now, this will put a bubble around pretty much your entire army.
Yes.
And so how does that benefit your battle line?
Well, I typically will use my battle line to protect the Blood Secretor and the Slaughter Priests, and then I'll send out my heavier hitters to go out and do the damage.
Now, who are usually your heavy hitters?
All right, so I have 2 battalions that I like. One is the Bloodstorm Battalion with my Wrathmongers. Mm-hmm. They are absolutely nasty. I put fear in all my opponents when they see the Wrathmongers coming out. I've had a lot of suicidal victories. And the second battalion I like is the Brass Stampede, with the Lord of Khorne Juggernaut as the general.
Let's go over the Wrathmongers first,
Sure.
a breakdown of those.
Yep.
Why do people fear them, and what makes them so cool?
So you think about, they get a +1 to their attack characteristic if they charge.
Right.
Your Blood Secretor's in range. You get another +1 to your attack characteristic from that. Your leader of each unit rolls 5 dice to start with, so now he's rolling 7.
Wow.
Your other 4 models go from 4 to 6. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus 7. You're rolling 32 dice if they charge. Okay?
Goodness.
That's a rend of 1. As part of the Bloodstorm.
And they have rend on top of everything else?
They have rend of 1. But then if they're part of the Bloodstorm Battalion, which is expensive, any shooting units have to subtract 1 from their hit rolls to the Bloodstorm Battalion. And all hit rolls of 6 generate an additional hit roll.
So you're just brushing off judicators and prosecutors like they're nothing.
Correct. So, yeah, right. It decreases their chance to hit me. But then if I'm rolling 30 plus dice, every 6 rolled generates an additional hit roll.
So you just +1 for every 6.
I roll another dice.
That is crazy. How many times can you do that?
Well, you can only reroll once.
Okay.
So
it's not like the Morgul or whatever it's called
Right.
for the death, where he has a
Right.
6, he just keeps on going.
Right. So in match play, the rule is if you roll a 6, you reroll that and you're done.
Awesome.
Yep.
That sounds very lethal.
So that's just one part of their attack, though.
What's
right?
the second part?
The second part is anytime that a Wrathmonger model is destroyed, then you basically take control of one enemy model within 1 inch range of the Wrathmonger that was destroyed. And you get to execute all of his melee attacks either on himself or his own unit.
Even if it's a Retributor?
Even if it's a Retributor. I have taken out the nasty stuff as they attack themselves. That's what I meant by victory by suicide.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Because usually the biggest issue I have is when I hit a wall of Retributors.
Right. So you tie him up with a unit of 10 Wrathmongers, let's say, or 5 Wrathmongers. Not only are they doing nasty damage on their attacks, but then if they kill one, they have to attack themselves with their own attacks.
That's awesome.
Now, it's just one model, so they're really good against the big guys. That's
Yeah.
why I think they would be good against the Star Drake.
And plus they have that rend, which the Star Drake...
Correct.
Man, if he has a Castellant, I believe a Castellant on his tail, it's hard to kill him.
They're very hard to kill.
Because then he'll be at a 2+ save with rerollable ones.
With reroll of 1. Right.
And that's frustrating if you ran into it, because then you have to attack the Castellan first, but usually they have them wrapped up with Retributors. The Wrath Stampede.
Yeah, so if you take the Brass Stampede Battalion with the Lord of Khorne Juggernaut as the general, every time one unit of the Brass Stampede charges within 3 inches of another unit of that battalion, they do D3 mortal wounds automatically.
That's crazy.
So the thing is, if you max that battalion out upon deployment, so 7 units is max, then during the hero phase, any enemy unit that's within 1 inch of the Brass Stampede automatically receives D3 mortal wounds also.
Wow. That's really just making a mountain of mortal wounds for your enemy.
Right.
That's awesome. Let's take this to the next level.
I don't know if you heard me counting. I did over 1,000. You have your ubulus muscle that connects to the upper dorsimus. It's boring, but it's part of my life. I'm just going to grab this shirt if you don't mind. Just watch out for the guns.
If you're looking at maybe buffing up your unit a little bit more, or maybe you have this dream build that you haven't tried yet, what would your next Chaos Army be?
Yeah, so here's something I do like to do. It's kind of an expensive build, and it may be situational. Get Archaon on the table with 3 units of Wrathmongers and 3 Aspiring Deathbringers.
Nice.
Okay? So an Aspiring Deathbringer buffs any friendly unit within 6 inches by giving them 1 to their attack characteristic. Archaon's command ability is that every other leader on your table who has a command ability can use its command ability.
Wow.
So if you have 3 Aspiring Deathbringers, they all get that buff. You run each one with a unit of Wrathmongers, you have an automatic buff to the unit of Wrathmongers.
I can't even wrap my mind like how awesome that sounds.
Now, here's the other strategy to Archaon.
Yeah.
You get Lord of Khornon Juggernaut as part of that build. He can also use his command ability. Mm-hmm. You put that on Archaon, he's now adding +1 to his wound rolls. And with his primary weapon, if you roll 2 6s to wound, it instantly slays the enemy model.
Wow.
But with his ability, you only need 5s. And just to show how powerful it is, I actually pulled that off last night.
What did you kill with it?
Unfortunately, it wasn't anything huge. It was some death wizard that only had like 5 wounds. So it was unfortunate that it was fun to watch.
Hit him with just a single weapon?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So was it a necromancer?
It was, yes.
Sweet.
Yep. So I prevented him from bringing stuff back.
What advanced units and capabilities will give any Chaos player an edge?
It's really being smart about the synergy and protecting those units that provide the synergy. A lot of times I will throw a little something on the table that looks intimidating as a decoy, like the choreographs.
Okay, yeah, that's choreographs. Yeah.
You know, they look big and scary, but they're really not that tough. With 8 wounds, people will tend to shoot at that to get that off the table.
True.
Which then allows, like, my Wrathmongers or my Wrath Stampede a whole turn to get to where they need to go.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And also, a while ago, you came into the store and you're like, do you have a Scarbrand?
Yes.
And then, do you remember what I told you?
You said he was a waste of money. Something to that effect.
I was like, that's a waste of space, pretty much, right?
But I did find one use for him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What use did you find for Scarbrand? Because I look at the amount of points he's worth, and then I look at a Bloodthirster and how much less he's worth, and I'm like, you should probably just put a Bloodthirster on the table every time over Scarbrand.
So, if you want to stick to the Khorne Bloodbound Allegiance, I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Okay.
But if you're okay taking just a Chaos Allegiance, so you're sacrificing the Blood Tithe for this, but this is very effective. I did have Sail the Faithless on the table, who gave Scarbrand an 18-inch movement and the ability to fly.
Holy crap.
So basically, with Sail the Faithless on Balewind Vortex, doubling his range, I could move Scarbrand in. He could attack, do his damage. The next turn, I move him back. I don't have him attack the second turn, so he becomes completely ticked off.
Enraged.
Yep. And he wreaked havoc all over the battlefield.
Nice. With Scarbrand, like, the more wounded he gets, the more dangerous he is.
Right.
But then most people just wipe him out turn 1.
That's the problem. They see him on the table and he becomes an immediate target.
Huge target.
Yep.
And so, like, for that many points getting taken off the table right away, I never see, like, a real bonus to putting him on.
Yeah, the 3 or 4 times that I've used him with the Khorne Allegiance, that is exactly what's happened. In fact, there's been times where I went up against a Maul Crusher and I got destroyed turn 1 with Scarbrand.
Oh, man.
What a waste of 400 points.
Yeah, 400 just gone like that.
Yep.
You found a way through Forge World to make the chaos a little bit more mobile, I
Yes.
guess you could say.
Yes.
Tell people about that special piece that you found on Forge World
Yeah,
that really helped out your army.
So that is Cell of the Faithless. He's a